To second-year wide receiver Matthew Golden against the Cardinals in a joint practice. Orlovsky, better throw or better catch?
Oh, definitely better catch. It's not an ideal throw. It's certainly behind Matthew Golden. There's two defenders there. But this is a great sign for Green Bay. Their first-round pick of last year. He's got to be a person, because of the loss of Romeo Doubs, that absolutely steps forward. So that's a better catch. I'm going catch for that.
Golden, a little sleeper potential in fantasy. Like, this could be the guy that unlocks the offense?
Yeah, this has been a crowded wide receiver room over the last few years. Now, you got rid of Dontavian Wicks. He's now in Philadelphia. Romeo Doubs is now with the New England Patriots. So the room is less crowded. I'm looking forward to Matthew Golden actually being that #1 wide receiver, but here's the catcher. They need that receiver room and pass catchers to remain healthy. The 4 guys who are starting right now, from the 3 receivers and tight ends, Tucker Kraft missed 9 games last year. Christian Watson missed 7. Matthew Golden missed 3, and Jayden Reed missed 10. And everyone wants to talk about Jordan Love. How about those pass catchers remain healthy and also catch the football consistently? And I believe Green Bay will be better as well.
That's one issue. Here's another. GM Brian Gutekunst addressed a possible suspension yesterday for running back Josh Jacobs, who was arrested in May on domestic abuse charges. Take a listen.
I'm pretty confident we can sustain it. That doesn't mean we wouldn't do that, yeah, we'll deal with that when that comes. But we've obviously been, preparing for that in case that happens. But at the same time, I feel really good about the guys we've got in that room, and I think we could survive that.
Schefter, what's the latest on this situation right here?
The fact that the Packers are talking about it and acknowledging it tells you that they're bracing for something to come. And I don't think we've heard the last in this. We're waiting to see if there are charges brought against Josh Jacobs for the domestic abuse allegations from the incident in May in his house. And if there are charges that are brought against him, what are those charges? And once there are charges, then the NFL looks into the situation. So you guys were talking about the wide receiver questions. There's also a looming running back question, a legal question that hangs over this team and obviously will have a big influence on how this season works out for Green Bay.
No doubt. Keep it locked here on ESPN. Anything that develops with that story, we will have the latest immediately. Back to the action on the field. We are 2 weeks away from the 49ers and the Rams in Australia, and we continue to be on Aaron Donald watch. Adam Schefter, where does this situation currently stand?
The Los Angeles Rams open the season 2 weeks from tonight. They're still waiting for an answer from Aaron Donald, who has worked out at their facility a couple of times where the team has put him on the transaction wire as having put on the team equipment and worked out. He still has not finalized his decision. The two sides still have to figure out a contract because right now he would count $30 million, which the Rams don't have the salary cap space to accommodate. So there are steps that have to take place before he can come back, if he decides to come back. The point is, with their season opening 2 weeks from tonight in Australia against the 49ers, Aaron Donald right now would seem to be on the clock. And I would think that we would have to get some sort of answer from him here sooner rather than later. There have been various people saying, oh, the answer could come earlier this summer, this weekend, the next week. Here we are, 2 weeks from the opener, and we are now at the time where you would think that conversations have to occur for both sides to figure out how they're going to proceed.
How do you evaluate this Rams team without Donald, and then how high can they go with Donald?
Well, when I evaluate this Rams team, I hear so much about people saying that the San Francisco 49ers are so old. Well, why isn't that the story for the LA Rams? Look at their star players. Look at Matthew Stafford. Look at Devontae Adams. Look at the defensive end they just got from Cleveland, Myles Garrett. If you bring Aaron Donald out of retirement, he's 35. He'll be 36 years old. So why aren't the narrative around the LA Rams that they're old? These guys have dealt with injuries as well. Matthew Stafford dealt with a back injury. Devontae Adams, he dealt with hamstring injury. So I think that when you start to look at this team, you have to taper your expectations because at any moment they could deal with these injuries and Father Time could catch up.
So I'll say the reason why I think the Rams have been giving more grace than the San Francisco 49ers, they've been able to close the deal from a Super Bowl championship perspective. So that's why they probably get a little bit more grace than normal. And then when you have a guy like Matthew Stafford who came into the league a long time ago, but had a back injury last year, and a lot of people thought that was going to hamper him, and he goes out and wins the MVP, that also gives you a little bit more grace as an organization.
Have you ever hurt your back?
Yes.
You know how that can just creep up on you, right?
It's a bad feeling.
Absolutely. So
bad feeling.
I think that we should
Ask
taper
LeBron,
the expectations
and that's sad.
for those LA Rams right now.
If everybody's healthy this year, the Rams win the Super Bowl.
And I feel the same for the San Francisco 49ers. If everybody's healthy,
Really?
the 49ers win the Super Bowl.
49ers.
How about that?
Absolutely. Christian
Coming from
McCaffrey,
49ers,
Mike
you gotta love it.
Evans, Brock Purdy, the
really
defense,
good.
and Bosa.
Really good team.
I believe that they
That could be
win
a big
it.
boost to win that situation. Probably want to consider betting the bounce back today. Back to the NFL. More fallout from the Daquan Wright situation. He's the former Ole Miss player who was waived by the Browns last week and wanted to go back to college to sign with LSU. Yesterday, the NFL informed its clubs that any player who returns to the college ranks will be prohibited from signing with an NFL team this season. Adam, those are the treetops. What else do fans need to know?
Well, it's essentially these rules have been in place, but I think the NFL needed to remind teams and reinforce the idea that a player who leaves the NFL to go back to college, which we've never seen before, isn't allowed to come back to the NFL in the same season, nor is that player going to be allowed to re-enter the draft. You are eligible for one draft in your life. Dante Whitner can't go be the 8th overall pick 1 year, go back to the Ohio State and come back and be another high pick again. It doesn't work like that, and the NFL reminded its teams of that yesterday in that memo after the Daquan Wright situation. Once you're in a draft, you're not in any more drafts. Once you leave the NFL in season to go back to college to play for the LSU Tigers instead of the Cleveland Browns, you cannot come back to the NFL that season. Now, a lot of people saying, okay, well, we'll see how it impacts his stock going forward. He's planning to see how that will be determined. So we'll see how that works out.
You cover the college and pro games for us. You do an excellent job. What's your takeaway on all this?
Number one, it's bizarre that we are even having these conversations right now when it comes to college football. I've always been of the mindset, once you put on an NFL uniform and you're in NFL camps, that you should not be back allowed in college athletics.
That's fair.
It's as simple as that for me. But I'm also going to look at it from this angle. I look at Lane Kiffin at LSU. He's regarded as one of the game's best coaches right now, right? And he's also being compensated that way. You have a $50 million roster. You went to LSU because you have better resources than Ole Miss. You're telling me you need Daquan Wright to get the job done, what you need to get done?
Yeah.
So now that's a bigger issue in my opinion. Because if you have all this money to pay top-notch players and you're getting transfers, why do you need Daquan Wright so much, in my opinion?
There's a thought process. It's going to take some time to get things going there. I know a lot of fans are very excited based on what they saw last year. I'm with you. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Jump in here. What's your
Well,
take?
the NFL needed some clarity on this. You cannot have the NFL and professional football turn into a revolving door. A guy signs an NFL contract. He gets cut. He goes back to college. And then in November, he comes back to the NFL. If you choose college football, you play college football. If you sign an NFL contract and you get cut, you are a free agent. So the biggest thing to me is that they understand the consequences before they make the decision. Before you sign that NFL contract and sign with an agent, there's no coming back that year, and that's final.
How would you define this era of college football?
Annoying, tiresome. Like, this is my least enjoyable era of college football. I just feel like every day, just from a fan perspective, every day there's another conversation around this lawyer, this attorney, this court hearing, this legal action. And I sit here, I go, okay, what's the next one? What's the next loophole that some lawyer is going to try to find? Who's going to be the next person to benefit off of it? And for a person who just loves college football and just loves the passion and the pageantry of college football, it's kind of gotten to a point where I'm annoyed by every day having another conversation about some person trying to find another loophole to help this other programmer, this type of player make this much more money. And it's like, gosh, dude, what happened to college football just being about college football?
To Dio's point, think about this now. College football is starting this weekend. And we're spending so much time talking about
It's been for a year.
Kids going in the National Football League and coming back and playing college football. The start of college football season it should be enjoyable. Everyone should be excited. The tailgate in the stadiums. But we're talking about NFL players now coming back to play collegiate sports.
But the common denominator is when you have billions of dollars that need to be spread around, the money, the guys are going to make the decisions based on the money. So a lot of these players that are coming back from NFL football, going to college, it's a lot about the NIL money.
Of course.
And then they don't have confidence in themselves, a lot of them. They don't think that they have a long-term future in the NFL. They feel like, hey, I have to go back to college to get that NIL money off the table and solidify my future.
Schefter, final word.
The only one who is allowed to do this these days is Harry Douglas. He can go from a pro game to the college game and back and forth all he wants.